Welcome to the Dream On podcast. I'm Travis Gentry.
I'm Julia Gentry.
In each show, we start off with a question that we ask each other. It's random, it's off the cuff. And so my question for Julia today is, you have a journal that just came out a few months ago. And in the journal, you have a series of questions. And one of the questions is, what is your dream? Like, what is the three dreams that you're going after?
The dream stacking part?
Yes.
Yeah.
So what is one of those dreams that are consistently coming up that you're writing down in your journal?
My next one is my next book. I keep writing about that one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Keeps coming up.
Keep coming up.
I notice when I do it, like there's certain things that just, it's like every time.
Same thing.
And then there's like one, maybe 2 out of 3. And then there's one, depends on the day.
Like, what's yours?
Kind of rotates. No, it's just a question for you.
No, I think this could be like, we can reciprocate.
I mean, for me, it's just adventure, constant adventure.
But so are you just putting adventure, or is it a new, different adventure every time?
No, I think it's just adventure, like consistently experiencing adventures. So it's not like I don't have like in the picture that you draw.
Yeah.
Like I'll write a lot of it's like, mountainy kind of settings or Alaska or so yes, there's places that I want to go on adventures.
Yeah.
But it's just new experiences on a weekly, or a monthly basis.
Doing those though?
Not fully, but I am. Like last week I took the oldest, Malachi, and we went on an overnight adventure and explored, and it was awesome. So it's just constantly reminding myself of like, that's what makes me come alive. Mm-hmm. To me, that's what life's about.
Which is so funny because so when we look at our family values, and you and I established these, a couple of years ago,
mm-hmm.
but one of them is adventure. And I think that was such a good practice for us because your value of adventure, like when I hear that word, it means something very different to me, mm-hmm. and would probably be the lowest on my scale. Where mine, what comes back over and over and over again, not every time I write, is the creating. Like I love to create something new. So the minute that someone on my team's like, okay, great, we're just going to run this process out the rest of the year, I'm like, oh my gosh, no, like I can't. I like to create something new. I like to be writing the next book before the first one's even done,
mm-hmm.
So it's interesting of adventure actually doesn't make it on my dream stacking very often.
No. Mm-mm. It makes it on mine.
But I'm married to an adventure.
Every time. It's not about, I could care less about stuff.
Yeah.
As long as I could go and experience something new, really on a daily basis, whether it's just something simple or on a weekly basis, an overnight somewhere, and then, bigger trips on a monthly basis, like that to me is life.
And that's really what we're going to talk about today is Carpe Diem. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to Carpe Diem. And really, truly, this podcast, Travis Gentry could lead on his own. I was even preparing and I was looking at the title of, seize the moment and why opportunity comes to prepared people. I'm like, I should just let Travis do this. Because I feel like you're a voice in my life all the time that's talking about, right, where opportunity and preparation meet. Mm-hmm. And there's so often that it's like, I hear what you're saying. And sometimes I'm like, I just actually want to feel what he's saying. And so I'm excited to talk about this because I just want to get an inside scoop into what does Travis Gentry actually think about how we as people seize the moment and make the most out of opportunities, and how do we prepare. And
mm-hmm.
So I'm glad you're joining me today on this podcast.
And each and every podcast. Yeah, I mean, ultimately it's opportunity comes to prepared people. If you're not prepared, you don't even know an opportunity may exist. Mm-hmm. And I'll give an example specifically with real estate. Like you can drive by a dilapidated, rundown, vacant home millions of times, and a lot of people do, and they see nothing. When I drive by it, I see opportunity, mm-hmm. something that can be restored, fixed up, and I can create and add value to that and sell it and make money.
So that's interesting to me, though. So couldn't that be, let's say that house is just an analogy, right? Mm-hmm. So what you're potentially suggesting is that when most people see problems, you see opportunity.
Yeah.
Would you fill in the blank, right?
Yes.
Most people, we would drive by someone who's homeless, and instead of being like, oh, there's just one more, right, problem on the street, you go, oh, there's an opportunity, right? Or if mm-hmm. Industry is is being shaken, right? Or if there is a problem within the customer service care, or like you name it, at some level, is that house just an analogy for quote unquote problem?
It doesn't necessarily have to be a problem. I think, yes, sometimes it is, but I think it could be, someone that's been preparing their whole life to be a football player.
Mhm.
It's like they're just, year in and year out, like from the time they're 6 to 8, playing football and going through the steps and motions. And it's like when they get that called, they've been preparing for a decade to step on that NFL field.
Yeah.
And so I think it can come in different forms. Yes, it can come in, you see a need, you fill a need, and are you prepared to fill that need? Or how do you get prepared to fill that need?
Mhm.
And so I think it's both and.
Yeah. When you think about, we'll talk super general terms. When you think about people in general, is this our wiring system? Like, is it normal for people to think this way? Or do you think that's what we're missing as a people group?
To prepare?
Yeah.
I think, I mean, it comes to me, it comes alongside like the dreaming. I think a lot of people lose the drive to dream and to actualize their dreams, and with that they're not preparing, like they're not going after, they're not going in and living towards something because life or kids, or I have to do this, I bought the house and I have these cars and I have to make these payments. A- and so they stop like preparing for something greater,
Yeah.
and so they settle into what it is that they have, and ultimately they created.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you have a house payment and you have cars, I totally understand that, and there's a way out of it.
Yeah.
Like get a cheaper car, sell your house and rent, or like you can adjust your lifestyle to then pursue and go after and prepare for whatever that may be.
This is what's so interesting about this conversation is I feel like number one, I'm learning this lesson real time. But to me, when I've been even considering that topic of like, okay, carpe diem, seize the day. How do we really seize the day? I feel like it's all the things that you would have done yesterday, which is walking in faith, meaning I'm preparing yesterday for what I know is going to come tomorrow. But I live in the in between because I don't actually have it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like Hebrews 11:1. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen.
Mm-hmm.
The evidence of things, it's also the conviction of things not seen, which means for me, if I have the umph, the belief, the gusto, the faith to believe in myself as a football player, to believe that that house has potential, to believe in building my dreams today, even though I don't see it, to me, that takes a different mindset and a different heart set, which is why I think, if I'm generalizing, and as I was considering this, why most people aren't actually preparing, because that's really hard.
Mm-hmm.
Because I actually am, quote unquote, not guaranteed that, like we've seen people who could train. They're like, you didn't make the cut, like you can train, or you're preparing and it's like that day hasn't really come, or you were preparing and the dream never actualized. And, they're just the in-between gets so sticky for some people.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that part of what makes it hard to prepare for opportunity is that what I see with my physical eyes is more realistic, right, than what I want to be experiencing.
Yeah.
And so it's just easier to follow after what I physically see as opposed to preparing for what I want to see.
Yeah. And I think sometimes through the journey, what I've seen with other people and through even us is sometimes you believe and you're on a path and preparing and going after something, and it comes to fruition or it doesn't. And then, but it also presents another like awesome opportunity. And so it's also preparation of like, I'm going down this path, but I wouldn't have gone down this path to meet this other better potential opportunity if I didn't even get started on this.
Okay. So this is where it's funny that you're saying this, because I was like, we're going to like mess with people's minds on this episode because there's one piece that's like, some of us were like, bro, get ready as though, and because these are the people that aren't moving, right? Like you're not moving at all towards your dreams. You're not moving at all towards preparation. Like it is what it is. And life, like ho hum. And like, I'm at the job that I'm at and I'm doing the life that I have. And like, there's no preparation. I'm not doing anything to master a skill, to move myself forward, right? I'm just like circling in that space of comfort zone. Then there's the other side, and it's like, I feel like at some level, some of the things that are happening, like in my life or within the life of my business, are things that I have been preparing for behind the scenes for the last 10 years. And yet, all the things that I was also doing intentionally, there's a large percentage that I wasn't, but God was like training me in a way that I couldn't have even prepared for to position me for, right? So this is where we're going to kind of mess with the mind a little bit. And there's a scripture that talks about this. It says in Proverbs 69, it says, the heart of a man plans his way, but the Lord establishes his steps. And so I'm so fascinated in my own journey around those moments that God was preparing me in a way that I could not have prepared myself for exactly what's unfolding now. And that's where this is like really struck a chord for me, is not the times that I was like intentionally and responsibly preparing, but how God was intentionally and responsibly preparing me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Like in all levels.
All levels.
Mentally, physically, and spiritually.
Totally.
Because there again, we've talked about it in the past, but it's like one thing to get what you're wanting, but it's another to actually maintain and sustain what it is that you're wanting. And so as you're saying that, I'm like, Abraham Lincoln says, give me 6 hours to cut down a tree and I'll spend the first 4 hours sharpening my blade. Well, what if the tree that you were looking at cutting down, you spent the first 4 hours to sharpen, to then cut down that tree, but then to be prepared not to cut down that tree, but multiple trees to build a house. So it's bigger than you. Like, what are you preparing
Come
for?
on, Lincoln. Come on, Lincoln. Come on, Abe. Ding.
But most people would, you know, there again, they cut down that tree and they're like, I did it. But it's like, man, if I am preparing, what if I'm preparing for something that's bigger than me? And that's what we talk about all the time, of like, we're supposed to live outside of just what we can control and what we can do. We're supposed to either solve and live into a bigger calling and a bigger mission than just food for our home and a house for our family. We're supposed to live for something greater than, and ultimately not just here on earth, but like for the kingdom.
Eternal value.
Yeah. What is something greater that I can serve, my skill set, my talents that God gave to me, that it just doesn't just serve like me or just my family. It serves the community or the world.
Say Lincoln's quote again.
He says, give me 6 hours to cut down a tree and I'll spend the first 4 hours sharpening my blade.
Okay. So here's why this is very convicting for me. Because, okay. So again, I don't know if you tuned in the last episode, but it was my therapy session. So here we go again. So I think what's happened for me is that in my early adolescence, in my place of pain, I learned to do better faster. Like that was the way that I survived it, of like, whoop, like eject from this moment, just actually go get things done and get them done fast and get them done efficiently. And so I remember like truly being a very efficient kid. I remember not sticking around with a whole lot of anything for very long. And I remember being very solo and very quick. I mean, to the point that I even have memories of I'd wake up in the middle of the night, not awake, but like running around the house, like panic attacks, anxiety attacks. And I remember my mom saying things like, Julia, you need to wake up. I'm like, I am awake. I just need to get this thing done. She's like, get what done? I'm like, I don't know, all the things yesterday. Like I've just always had this urgency. And so what's been fascinating to me is that I have been in a season that I feel like God's bringing more and more people around us, right? We've gone from the last year and a half, me to 8 people on our team. And if you said you've got 6 hours to cut down a tree, I've been killing myself cutting down the entire tree as fast as I possibly can.
With a raw blade.
With who cares? I don't care. I don't even know what it is. I don't even know. Whatever. My fingers,
punching it,
my hands, like all the things, because speed or quick or whatever has been like, and there's this quote that's been resonating over and over. It's that if you want to get there fast, go alone. If you want to build something that lasts, do it together.
Yes.
And that's rocked my world is because it's the fast, right? Like, and again, efficiency is huge. I get that there's like beautiful things about that, but hearing a quote like that, it just makes me go, oh my gosh, like we're not actually stepping back and going, what do we do here? Like with my whole heart, I sit back and I'm going to prepare for this and I'm going to prepare for this and I'm going to prepare for this. And I'm not going to kill myself to get there faster. I'm actually going to prepare and be methodical. And I would say like rest in active faith, let God do what God's going to do, get the right team. You know what I'm like, to me, it just that 4 hours of like sitting and like preparing to then do what needs to be done in a shorter amount of time. Like I'm just verbally processing right now.
Well, you think about it like on a football, and I forget the exact amount, but how much time they practice physically, how much time they watch film. And a lot of those guys have started out since they were, middle school. And they literally play like the defense and offense. The time that they're on the field is like 8 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like physically doing something for 8 to 10 minutes the whole game. And so you think about all the preparation and time that they put into it, not just physically, but watching film and studying and doing all the things to play. Let's just call it 10 minutes. I know it's less than that, but each player actively is playing for 10 minutes a game.
Mm-hmm. So what does that build? Like, what does that tell you then? So like, get tactical with this.
Slow down to speed up. I mean, you've got to like put in the work. There again, it's not about just achieving your goals. It's about sustaining your goals, but doing something that is bigger than you. It takes time, effort, and energy, and it doesn't happen overnight. Like anything great that was built does not happen overnight. But we live in a now instant gratification society that we can pretty much have anything, whether it's we get it on credit or we get a loan for it, or we push a button, like I want it now and I can have it now and I'll pay later. Well, you're not necessarily paying later. And we've talked about this in the past of like most people spend their future. So the credit cards and cars and houses and everything that they sign up for that is bad debt, that takes money out of your pocket, they are actually spending their future because they have to work now to pay for that as long as they have those loans in place. As opposed to saying like, no, I don't want to spend my time doing what I'm doing anymore. So I have to sacrifice and give up certain things to then be able to build my house, my foundation, so I can have those in the future, but I don't have to do the things I don't want to do anymore to have the things I want.
Yeah. Well, it's so interesting. So Proverbs 18 talks about this. So there's a verse that I love. It says, a man's gift opens doors for him and brings him before great men. But if you look at the verse right before that, because I think we all want that, right?
Say that again.
It says, a man's gift opens doors for him and brings him before great men, meaning your gift makes room for itself. When your gift, your talents, right? You seizing the moment and preparing is going to bring you before great and mighty men. It makes room for itself, right? But if you look at the verse prior to that, it says, the heart of the discerning acquires knowledge and the ear of the wise seeks it out, which means this person who's now being brought to, like, their gift is going, hey, your gift is making room for itself. Like, you're great at what you do, right? Like now the world sees it, or the world appreciates it, or the world finds value in what you bring. Prior to that, it's because that person's heart was hungry for knowledge and was willing to seek it out. Like it says in Proverbs also says that it's the glory of God to conceal a matter. It's the glory of kings to seek it out. What does that mean? It means that when I'm willing to do the work to go, God, I don't just want your answer. I want your heart. I don't want just to look good. I want to be good. I don't want to just like get there. I want to have the character to like, I don't want to say earn it, but to earn my way to get there, but then to be able to hold that. I feel like that's where the good stuff is in this lesson currently, is that it's not opportunity, like Carpe Diem, seize the moment, because then you'll finally be successful. You'll finally be important. The world will finally see it. It's that part of this is that developing the hunger for learning, the hunger for wisdom, the hunger for character. And like, I want to be everything that God's created me to be on this side of eternity. Like, I don't want to wait to get to heaven and see myself actualized there. I want to know that I live my life in search of going, I want to see a piece of my heavenly realities on this side of heaven.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? And so I think what's interesting about the context of this whole thing, and I think the context of like Why, yes, we want to be prepared, right? When the market shifts, we want to be ahead of it. When the industry changes, like we want to be ahead of it. When that moment opens up, we're like, you're a great speaker, you're a great writer, like you're an amazing football player. Yes, but I want my journey of hunger and passion to be the thing that positions me in that place, not just the desire for acquisition, the
Yeah.
desire to be noticed.
Well, most people that stay with the preparation part of like achieving anything is that they love the game that they're playing, whatever game that is, whether it's business, football, real estate. They love the game more than they love like the trophy. And most people that are not sustainable to most of the time getting the trophy are the people that just want the trophy.
Agreed. Oh man, that's so good. I don't.
And it's
I
like
don't
there
disagree
again,
with that.
2 Corinthians, for we live by faith, not by sight. Like it comes back to like we have to have faith in whatever it is. And there again, we talk about it as a family all the time of like, if it's in you, it's possible. So what is in you? And I think most people at some point in their life shift to not even believing that anything is possible.
Yeah.
And they just settle with like, this is my life and I'm just gonna like live it out and hopefully someday, one day retire and have enough money. As opposed to saying, no, I'm going to continually press into living out my God-given like desires.
Yeah.
Because like you said at the beginning of the podcast, like adventure is not your thing, it's creation.
Yeah.
And adventure is my thing.
Yeah.
But how do I serve that like gift to the world? One, it's giving experiences to the kids and being a part of other people and having that time together with people and seeing what God created. To me is like, that's what life is about.
Yeah.
And I like
but okay, so let's talk about, we're going to talk about this really in our next episode. So I want to get into it too much, but even when you say that, right? And if we look at this gift, is that a man's gift opens doors for him. It makes room for itself. Well, it also does for other people. So even if we go to this idea that, well, but if I pursue what I want, it's selfish, or if I really take the time, because right, if we think about getting prepared for anything, right, it means that we're going to be out of balance people. And really, I hate the topic of balance because I think balance is something that the world tries to serve us as humans. And it's really this is such a bad example. I'm not going to use this. I'm not going to use that example. It is the enemy's way of getting us actually out of alignment. And here's why, is because if I'm now seeking balance, I'm going to be so frustrated and depressed, and I'm going to start to turn to all of the things and all of the gimmicks. And I need my piece of the pie. I need to be spending this amount of time with my family and this amount of time. And the minute that doesn't happen is, number one, the minute I'm not great. And number two is the minute that I'm depressed and disappointed because I'm trying to live into something that the Bible didn't even actually ask me to be living into. Like the Bible doesn't say, be balanced. It doesn't say that. What does it say? It says I'm supposed to be aligned with what? I'm going to put my eyes on heaven's reality, and all other things are going to be added to me. It says that I am going to let the glory of his name be the center point on which my life turns. That's alignment, right? And so I think what happens is that when we start to think about this, we go, oh, I'm just really afraid that I'm going to be out of balance. You are. Absolutely. Like when you've done this last year and a half, given yourself to this stocks, have you been out of balance? Have you been out of balance? Yeah, you have. When I'm writing or I'm working on a project and kids are like, how long are you working today? Am I out of balance? Yeah, I am. And is there times that you and I both have to say to each other like, hey, yeah, there are. And so I think as a family though, we have to go, hey, I need to stay in alignment mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, relationally, like, and that's going to ebb and flow depending upon where the focus is, depending upon the needs of an individual. But I think it's not about balance, it's about alignment here. And so if I'm going to go after that target and want to be great at something, yeah, I'm going to be out of balance, but that's not bad.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, it gets easier with time. Like there again, the more time you put into something and perfecting your craft, like going back to Abraham Lincoln, like, yes, he spent 6 hours to sharpen it, but maybe, or 4 hours to sharpen it. And he had 6 hours to cut it down. But then after that, it probably only took him 30 minutes to cut it down, as opposed to having a dull blade. And it took him, 6 hours to cut it down, or he didn't even cut it down because it wasn't sharp enough.
Yeah.
So there again, yes, it is. It's always like, there's no, to me, balance. There is no such thing as like balance. Because I think when you're pursuing something, like you have to spend more energy and time into that.
Yeah.
And it could be weeks, it could be months, or it could be years.
Yeah.
Like you look at a doctor and you have to go through 9 years. And then if you get a specialty, like you have to go another 4 years, whatever it is, to be the best that you possibly can. But after that, then you're doing your craft that you spent all that time in preparation for.
Yeah. Well, and I think what's important about this piece is that's why I love that word alignment, because alignment is a posture of agreement. That's what that means. And so for anyone out there who's like, yeah, I've been trying to tell my family that because I'm never home, but I'm doing it for them. No. This does not give you an opportunity to like slack off your other responsibilities. This doesn't mean that you can't be that you can be an absent parent, or you could just forget about your finances because I've just been so focused on, or, I'm just overweight because I'm focused on the ministry. No, that's actually just a cop out for not taking responsibility of like what true alignment means. Now, do I get misaligned while I'm trying to align? For sure. Like every once in a while, do you and I have to go, hey, like every once in a while, do we have to go like, hey, we need to give a little bit more attention to this kid? Yes, but alignment suggests that everything from top down, bottom up, right, is in the place it needs to be in that season. It doesn't mean that something's back burner. It means that it's just an alignment. And I would also suggest it would mean that that's when we open our mouths in communications with our family and our friends and like, it's the season that I'm in. Can you support me? Like, here's what this looks like, right? I even told you the other day, I'm really sucking at the friend thing. And so I took some time to call some of my friends and just go, here's where I'm at. I love you. I could use your support. I could use some help chasing me in this season but it doesn't. And I had to kind of realign. It doesn't mean that I swung the pendulum. I was like, let's meet every other Friday for I don't have that capacity, but it doesn't mean I'm going to just let that thing fall to the wayside. So I think that alignment, as we're preparing for the things that God's asked us to prepare for, I think that word is so important because it keeps us in sync and in pace and just ensuring that all the pieces, right, are working together.
Yeah. Yep. And I love quotes and I love scriptures. And so this quote kind of came to me as we were talking. There are 3 types of people: those who make things happen, those who watch things happen, and those who wonder what happened.
Oh my gosh, that's so good.
And it's preparation.
Yeah.
There again, if you wondered what happened, you probably weren't prepared for that situation. And maybe it wasn't your situation to be prepared for. Mm-hmm. But if you capitalized on it and you were the one that was making it happen, you prepared before that situation, that event was there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I would say to anyone who finds himself a little bit convicted because you're like, oh, I'm the one watching or wondering, today's the day, right? The best time to have planted a tree would have been 20 years ago, and the next best is today. And I would say to that point of anyone who finds themselves going, yeah, but how, if I'm en route and I'm not totally sure that I'm going to get to where I want to be, I think that's the beauty of, I think, our lives and our testimony is that it says that God works all things together for the good of those who love him, that he's constantly in preparation mode. And even when we take a few steps left or a few steps right, he's just got this way of continuing to refine us and encourage us as we're like en route to the goal.
Yes.
It's so good.
Yep. And give yourself grace, within what you're wanting to. And here's what I would say, which is probably out of left field, but don't have a plan B. Mm-hmm. Like if you're preparing for something, go all in. Mm-hmm. Like be the best that you possibly can for that time that you're wanting to, master that craft. Yeah. Like watching Malachi, and this is a very simplistic example, but it's like he got a Rubik's Cube and he was for 2 weeks, he was like relentless on figuring it out, watching videos, playing with it. And he finally figured it out.
It was cool to watch.
It was very cool to watch. And there again, he didn't focus on anything else, no other toys, like no other interest. If he was watching a video, it was on the Rubik's Cube. And that's the way you should be about like what you feel called to go do, whatever that may be.
Yeah. But so I agree. And I think that, I've oftentimes had to walk myself down that path of like, okay, well, what if it fails? Like, what if it doesn't work? I would get up and I would figure out a different way to do it. Cause it is what I would do, but what if you're in that place of, well, what I'm doing is not what I want to be doing. I couldn't say I have a plan B and a plan C and a plan D, like
you have too many plans. I mean, there again, if you have to take care of yourself or your family, totally understandable. We've had to do that a few times and reset and be like, man, this didn't work out. I've got to go get a job. Yeah. I have to go get a couple jobs. And that's understandable. And that's okay to do. but you have to look at it and say, what do I want most? And then what am I willing to sacrifice? There again, if you have a house payment, car payments, and credit card and all these things, it's like, what can in all the subscriptions that most people have, it's like, what can I weed out and lean up so I can free up some capital, and some potential time, or quit my job to go have another job that allows me to do the thing that I want to do, knowing I'm not going to make as much for this season, but it's going to propel me further faster once I have this certificate or degree, or once I master this new skill.
Yeah.
You have to look at that and say, like, yes, you may have to take a couple steps back.
Yeah.
And I think we've experienced that in our life a couple times, where it's like you have to eat some humble pie, and you have to look at it and say, like, if you're single, or if you're married and you have no kids, it's like, hey, mom, dad, can I live with you for this period? Because here's why. Not just because I want to live with you because I'm not doing anything. It's because I'm pursuing this, and here's kind of the time frame, and here's what it looks like, and I just need help.
Okay, so I think that's the tactical next steps. Is all of us could say there's an opportunity we want, right? All of us with it. We could call it a dream or a vision, or like, I want that opportunity. I want that moment. Like, I want that dream. Great. Once you know that, then your next step is start getting prepared. I mean, that's really what it is. Okay, great. If you want to write a book, or you want to be a published author, or you want to start a business, or you want to be 30 pounds, you want to weigh 30 pounds less than you do now, then great. Your next step is get prepared. Act as though, embody that person before you are that person. Believe it before you see it, right? Like, that moment comes because of your decisions today to start acting like it before you see it, living like it before you are it. I mean, it's a simple, stupid, hard answer.
Yeah, it's like a job that's, gonna post, and you're like, man, I would love that job. But are you qualified for that job?
Yeah.
Do you have the certification for that position? And it's like, you just got to look at that and say, okay, what is my dream? Like, you're searching and you're like, that's my dream job. Okay, who do I have to become? So when that spot opens up again, or even this spot, how do I take advantage of it?
It's so solid. It's so solid, and it's simple. Stupid hard. Simple, stupid hard. So, wrapping it up with a nice, pretty bow, do the simple, stupid hard with us. Get clear on what you want most. And if you're like, well, I don't know what I want most, there's your step.
You do. Here's the thing, and I don't want to go too off on a rant on this, but you do. Here's the thing that has been kind of circling and manifesting in me, is like, we've got to help people not allow them to have that excuse.
Oh, no,
I don't know. But I'm saying, if you are the person of like, I don't know, you do know. You absolutely do know. And here's the question. If you weren't afraid, what would you do? No judgment from your spouse, no judgment from your friends or your family or your acquaintances. Like, what would you do? What would you go after? That's your answer.
Okay, so what would you do?
I'm doing it.
What, right now?
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
No, I mean, as far as the adventures and stuff, it's elevating that, so it's like more consistent. Other than that, like, I love what I'm doing now. Yeah. And as we've launched this new nonprofit, like, combining and putting all the pieces together with our businesses and the nonprofit, and how we can, there again, what you're doing, and having, 7-8 people now working with you alongside of you, it just makes this like, we can serve more people. And so, alongside of all the things that we've been preparing for, and the setbacks and failures that we've had over the course of the last 10 years, and there again, they were learning experiences. It wasn't a failure, it was feedback, and we constantly move forward. So we're consistently positioning ourselves for like a bigger plate.
Yeah.
And so I think, no, there's little tweaks, but we've been doing this for so long, 10 years.
Okay, great. Well, you heard Travis. You always know I said that to you guys. I just wasn't going to say it because I say it all the time. I say this to Asin. Well, Asins are infamous for saying, I don't know, Mom. I'm like, what if you did know, Azzy? And she's like, Here's what we would say. Number one, you have to understand what is the opportunity that you're wanting to prepare for. If you don't know what that is, rewind and answer that question. Once you know what it is, then you get into the driver's seat of your life and you start preparing for the opportunity that you want presented to you, because opportunity comes to prepared people. So thank you for joining us on another episode of the Dream On podcast. We'll see you next time. Hey there, ladies. And yes, I did say ladies. I have a question for you. Do you feel overwhelmed with uncertainty or a lack of clarity as you head into your day? Or maybe you struggle with the anxiety of wanting more, but not knowing how to make the necessary changes in the midst of being a mom, raising baby, grocery shopping, all the things, but you're ready. You're ready to wake up feeling focused and aligned with the dreams that God has given you so you can wholeheartedly pursue what matters most in your faith, family, and career. If that's you, then I want to gift you with a free mini course where I literally give you my morning routine for success. That's right. Being a mom of 5 under the age of 9, I know firsthand how important our mornings are. And with my proven faith-based daily routine, you too can align your actions and your dreams in just 15 minutes a day. This morning routine is not just about getting up early, it's about cultivating the right mindset, heart set, and dream set that will encourage you and equip you in arising and aligning every morning. Click on the link below and you can receive this free gift today. Don't spend the rest of your life just dreaming about the life you want. Arise to the challenge and create the life you want one morning at a time.